After debuting in the arcades in 1978, Space Invaders came to the Atari 2600 2 years later and became the system's first killer app, quadrupling its sales. It's of course been ported to many other consoles and home computers, and received a number of spin-offs and reimaginings, but it's amazing to me just how engaging and addictive it still is on Atari, over 4 decades later. I could talk about its historical importance, that it was the first ever fixed shooter, that it was the first ever arcade game to receive an officially licensed home console port, that some historians and journalists have even credited it with introducing the concept of having multiple lives, and that it set the template for countless other games that came after, like Demon Attack, Galaxian, and Galaga, and so many more that each put their own spin on the classic Space Invaders formula. But despite how primitive the originator may seem today, it might still be the most infinitely playable game in its niche. So far, it's the only Atari game I've ever sat and played for hours at a time, and I didn't get my Atari yesterday. It may sound absurd, but Space Invaders always really sucks me in with its hypnotic visual and auditory qualities, and with the "just one more game" line I always find myself repeating every time I game over. A game over on Space Invaders never fails to make me believe that I could do better if I try again. The Invader sprites are also just so iconic. They're some of the first images that come into my mind when I think of video games. But as much as I love the game, clearly my capture card fucking hates it. Throughout the video, in the various different clips I captured, you'll notice that the visibility of various sprites varies, particularly the projectiles, so bear with me here. Tweaking the settings really only changed which projectiles happened to be visible, so what you see is unfortunately the best I could do. Anyway, you all probably know the basics of Space Invaders, or could figure it out pretty quickly just by watching. You have to blast away at a horde of Space Invaders as they line dance their way towards the bottom of the screen. The invaders become faster as their numbers decrease, and the last one is always really tough to get, especially since you can only have one shot of your own on screen at one time. If you get hit with one of the invader's bombs, you lose a life, and if an invader reaches the bottom, it's an instant game over. The shields between your cannon and the invaders can be shot up by both the invaders and by yourself, and they'll eventually vanish entirely since each new wave of invaders starts closer and closer to the bottom. After clearing just a few waves, they practically start directly on top of you, and merely clearing the first wave is already pretty challenging. Periodically, you'll notice a UFO flying across the top of the screen, which can't harm you, but you can earn bonus points by taking it out. It's a nice risk-reward element, as is the decision to shoot out your own shields to more quickly take out the invaders, which of course deprives you of a safe zone. The goal is, of course, to rack up as many points as possible, and the amount you'll earn for each kill is dependent upon the position of the invader on the screen. The counter only goes to 4 places, so if you rack up 9,999 points, I guess that could be considered beating the game. So all of the footage you've seen so far is just the basic game. Yeah, there's an absolutely massive game select matrix to choose variations from. The devs really went above and beyond. Simply providing a good, playable version of the arcade hit would have been sufficient, but there are a number of alterations to the game that you can enable, and mix and match for a total of 112 different games. Actually, you could multiply that figure by 2 and say that there are 224, since flipping the difficulty switch will alter the size of your cannon, and that can be applied to any mode of the game. I personally prefer the small cannons that come along with difficulty B, but flipping it to A and making them bigger sure makes the game a hell of a lot harder if that appeals to you. But anyway, one variable you can enable using the game select option is moving shields. This is challenging not only because your cover is constantly moving, but even more so because it can block your shots. Zigzagging bombs make it a little easier to take hits from the invaders, but ultimately don't change the gameplay that much. Then there's the fast bomb. This is my favorite way to ramp up the intensity. In this mode, it's difficult to stay stationary for any time at all, because the invaders will tear through your shields in a hurry. It's a catch-22 though, because moving too fast can inadvertently put your cannon right under the invaders' line of fire. It's a great mode to play after you've gotten good at the basic game. I also like to combine all 3 of these into a variant that I call the Extreme version. It was a point of pride for me that I was able to clear out a whole fleet of invaders in this mode, but I only managed to do it one time. Finally, you can also play with invisible invaders, which only show themselves for a brief moment after one of them is shot. This mode is nearly impossible, especially once the fleet has severely dwindled in numbers, and/or gets close to the bottom of the screen. It's particularly frustrating under this specific variation that you only get one shot at a time, as it's imperative to string hits together with as little time in between them as possible, so that the fleet of invaders stays visible as consistently as possible. If a few seconds elapse with only one invader remaining, your goose is basically cooked. Really, if you fall behind at any point, you'll just have to shoot blind and hope for the best. Again, I'm proud of myself for clearing a whole fleet in this mode, even though I only did it one time. Oh, and if you'd like to play the most stupidly difficult video game you've ever played, enable moving shields, zigzagging bombs, fast bomb, and invisible invaders all at once. I guess I should now talk about the two-player options. Anyway, I've always thought of Space Invaders purely as a single-player game, but playing with a friend is a blast. It keeps score separately, so I guess it's technically a competition, but I found it more fun to work together. You just feel so damn good tearing through an enemy fleet quick as lightning. The only thing I don't like is that the 3 lives are communal, so if you're good at the game and your friend isn't, I imagine that would be pretty frustrating. Beyond the basic game, you have the option to turn on any of the previously discussed variations for the two-player mode. And in addition to that, there are some multiplayer-specific variations. I enjoyed the one that only allows for alternating shots, as in, one player fires and can't fire again until player 2 fires, and so on, one after the other. It's a fun challenge. Beyond that, there are some pretty goofy ideas for 2 players that only use one cannon, and only allows one player to move right and the other to move left, or only allows one player to move and the other to fire. Those seemed ridiculous, frustrating, and not fun, so I didn't attempt them. But I don't really fault the devs for grasping at straws to come up with ideas for multiplayer modes for a game that was only single player in the arcade, and give buyers of the Atari cartridge the best bang for their buck that they could. So yeah, Space Invaders. One of the most iconic and memorable Atari games, and one of the best. It's definitely among the very first that I think of when I think of the mighty VCS, or 2600. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, consider leaving a thumbs up and subscribing and ringing the bell, and all of those good things. If you made it all the way to the end, then I probably earned it, right? This has been a Leaky Faucet review. Thank you for watching, and game on.